Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist.
Yeah, and this is based on sources you shared with us, listeners, some great YouTube summaries, but also, bits from the book itself.
Right, and our mission really is to pull out the core ideas, the really memorable stuff from this novel. It's an allegory, of course, about chasing your dreams.
It's one that clearly connects with a lot of people, and it kicks off with a pretty big question, one we saw in those videos. Are you actually living the life you want? Like, deep down, are you on the path you feel you should be on?
That's a heavy way to start. Okay, so let's unpack this. Maybe we should begin with the author, Paulo Coelho, born in Rio, 1947.
And his early life, well, it wasn't straightforward. Time in psychiatric hospitals, even prison. His parents committed him when he was just 17.
Wow. And then later, experiments with drugs, music, and then imprisonment and torture for political activism.
Yeah.
That's quite a background.
It really is. And you can't help but wonder how much of that struggle, that search for meaning, feeds into The Alchemist. Santiago's whole spiritual journey. Yeah. It feels connected to Coelho's own experiences.
Absolutely. So Santiago, we meet him as a shepherd. And that was a choice, right? He chose it because he wanted to travel to see the world.
Yeah, that desire for something more than just his local village is there from the very beginning.
And he keeps having this dream.
The recurring one. About treasure buried near the pyramids in Egypt.
Right. And he looks at his sheep, and they're just content. Food, water, shelter, basic needs met.
But he's not like that. He sees that contrast, and it fuels his own longing for something bigger, something beyond just surviving.
And there's a really clear picture, isn't it? The sheep is this sort of symbol of maybe comfortable complacency.
Perhaps. While Santiago represents that human drive to find meaning, to follow a dream.
Which leads him to make that big decision. Leave the flock, sell the sheep, pursue the dream.
And almost right away, he runs into this really fascinating character, Melchizedek, the king of Salem.
He seems almost magical, doesn't he? He really pushes Santiago, convinces him to follow his dream, to live out his personal legend.
Yeah, that term is key. The personal legend, it's essentially your destiny, your true purpose in life.
Melchizedek also introduces this idea of oneness.
Right, the interconnectedness of everything, and that famous line,
when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it.
Exactly. That becomes like a guiding principle for Santiago throughout the whole story.
It's a hopeful idea, but things don't exactly go smoothly straight away. He gets to Tangier and...
he gets robbed, loses everything he just got from selling his sheep. It's a massive setback.
You'd think that might be the end of the journey right there. Go home, tail between his legs.
But he doesn't. And this is where you see his resilience, I think. He realizes he can still communicate, even without language, just by observing. And he decides, nope, I'm sticking with this adventure.
That shows some real grit, doesn't it? Choosing to push on after losing it all.
It does. And it leads him to the crystal merchant. He needs work, obviously.
And working there, Santiago actually, he brings new life to the merchant shop. He has ideas, suggests putting cups out front.
Yeah, he transforms the business, but the merchant himself is... well, he's interesting. He's an example of someone who didn't follow his personal legend.
He dreams of Mecca, but he's never gone. He seems kind of resigned to his life. Comfortable maybe, but not fulfilled. Afraid of what might happen if he actually achieved his dream.
Right. So Santiago working there highlights that contrast again. Santiago's living his quest, and it even inspires some change in the merchant, but the merchant ultimately stays put.
Okay, so Santiago earns enough money to continue his journey. He joins a caravan crossing the desert.
And that's where he meets the Englishman, another seeker.
But a very different type. The Englishman is all about books, research. He's looking for this legendary 200-year-old alchemist.
Right, and he introduces Santiago and us to the concepts of alchemy.
And it's presented as much more than just turning lead into gold. It's about the evolution of things, understanding nature.
Exactly. Harmony with nature, personal transformation. It's almost a spiritual path disguised as, well, chemistry. A metaphor for improving oneself.
So they travel together, and eventually the caravan reaches the Al Fayoum Oasis.
A huge safe haven in the middle of the desert. And this is where Santiago meets Fatima.
Ah, Fatima, the woman of the desert.
Yeah.
And there's this instant connection, right? Love at first sight, basically.
Definitely. She becomes another reason for him to potentially want to stay, to settle down.
But the oasis isn't just about romance. It's where Santiago's ability to read the world really develops. He starts understanding the omens.
Yes. That vision he has, watching the two hawks fighting, He interprets it as a sign of an impending attack on the oasis, which is supposed to be neutral ground.
He warns the tribal chieftains, and at first they're skeptical, but he convinces them. And he's right. The attack happens, but because they were warned, the oasis is saved.
And this act, this ability to read the signs, it really makes him stand out. It gets him noticed.
Specifically by the alchemist.
Yeah.
The very one the Englishman was looking for.
Exactly. The alchemist sees something in Santiago and decides to take him under his wing, so to speak, to guide him on the next stage of his journey.
And the alchemist teaches him these deeper ideas, doesn't he? About the soul of the world.
That spiritual force that connects everything. And he pushes Santiago, really tests him. It's not just about reading books anymore. It's about experiencing these truths.
He emphasizes listening to your heart, understanding the universal language.
And it all culminates in that incredible test where they're captured by tribesmen, and the alchemist says Santiago can turn himself into the wind.
Which sounds impossible. But Santiago has to try to save their lives.
And he does it by communicating. He speaks to the desert, to the wind, to the sun, realizing they all share the same source, the soul of God, the soul of the world.
It's such a powerful scene. It really drives home that idea of interconnectedness, that communication beyond words.
Absolutely. It's the ultimate demonstration of understanding the universal language.
So after all that, he finally makes it. He reaches the pyramids. The end of the physical journey, you'd think.
But the treasure isn't there. Not like he dreamed. He starts digging and
He gets attacked by refugees or bandits. They beat him up, take the gold the alchemist gave him.
it seems like another crushing defeat. But then, as they're leaving, one of them mocks him, saying he had a recurring dream about treasure buried back in Spain.
Under a sycamore tree
Yeah.
in a ruined church.
The exact place where Santiago started his journey, where he used to sleep with his sheep.
Wow. So the treasure was back home all along.
Exactly. The journey wasn't just about reaching the destination. It was about everything he learned and became along the way. He had to go all the way to Egypt to realize where his treasure truly was.
That's a really profound twist, the cyclical nature of it.
It is. He finds the physical treasure, yes, but the real treasure was the journey itself, the experiences, the growth, staying connected to that universal spirit.
So when we look back, the symbolism is just everywhere, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Alchemy is about transformation, harmony. The universal language is that connection beyond words.
Even the sheep.
Yeah.
They start as just, his livelihood. But they come to represent maybe those who don't follow their dreams.
Perhaps. Contentment versus striving.
Ah.
And then there are themes like free will versus fate, make that tub. It is written, but you still have to make the choices.
And that core idea of the personal legend, your unique path, your destiny, and how pursuing it connects you to everything else.
And the idea of oneness, that universal connection guiding things.
So thinking about the key lessons for you, the listener, what stands out?
Well, one big one is definitely about fear. The fear of failure being maybe the biggest hurdle to chasing a dream.
Right. And linked to that, the idea that big rewards often demand big risks, yet be willing to step out of your comfort zone.
Also that every single step you take towards your dream matters, even the small ones. They all bring you closer.
And I like that idea about personal growth having a wider impact. When you make yourself better, you somehow make the world better too.
Yeah, that ripple effect. And the importance of paying attention to those nudges, those omens, the intuition.
We mentioned Maktub. It is written, but there's also the principle of favorability.
Ah, yes, beginner's luck. That initial boost the universe sometimes gives you when you start something new.
The desert itself is presented as a teacher, a tester of men.
And that feeling of the darkest hour being just before dawn, that challenges often come right before a breakthrough.
The book talks about the soul of the world testing you on everything you've learned right before you achieve your dream.
And that warning, don't die of thirst just when the palm trees have appeared on the horizon. Don't give up when you're almost there.
There's also that lovely thought that everyone, often unknowingly, plays a central role in the history of the world.
And that idea about where you find your treasure, wherever your heart is, or perhaps the place where you are brought to tears, that deep emotional resonance signifies something important.
So wrapping this up for you, the learner, the Alchemist really offers this compelling way to look at pursuing your dreams. Listen to your heart, watch for opportunities, understand that life is interconnected.
Yeah, and for me, that aha moment, the really memorable bit, is definitely the cycle. Going all that way just to find the treasure was back where you started, but he's completely transformed by the journey. The value wasn't just the gold.
It really prompts reflection on your own personal legend, doesn't it? What might that be for you? Now, what are the omens, the little signs appearing in your life right now?
Absolutely. And it leaves us with a final question, maybe. Thinking about the crystal merchant. Is there some value just in having the dream, even if you don't chase it? Or is the real fulfillment only found in the doing, in the pursuit itself?
And what might your own sycamore tree represent? That place, maybe close to home, that holds unexpected potential, something to think about.